Hey everyone, I wanted to talk about my top books of 2025. I read about 40 books last year and it really was a journey of me trying to get back into reading. I did not expect I would be reading that much books. And I think it's the most I've read in 1 year, if I'm not wrong. I could have read more probably when I was in high school, but as an adult, this is the most I've read. So I'm so happy to be falling in love with stories, with books again, and I wanted to share my highlights. So I wanted to start off with Crime and Punishment. This was the last book I finished in 2025. I read this for about a month, I want to say, and it is the most challenging read ever of that year. It taught me a lot of patience, a lot of how dedicated I am towards a book. To be honest, there were moments that I thought maybe this is not the year I'm going to conquer Crime and Punishment, but I did, and I'm so happy. Dostoevsky's writing does take a lot of getting used to, so before reading Crime and Punishment, I had read Notes from Underground and a couple of stories in the Signet Classic edition that I had. And so I kind of get the gist a little bit of how he writes, but Crime and Punishment is a more kind of thicker, denser, full-on novel. The main turning point in the story happens very early on, and the rest of the book is basically just kind of uncovering aspects of his life, his personality, his relationship. Crime and Punishment is about a man who commits murder and goes through cycles of guilt and conflict with the people he's connected to. It really also is a study of different people that we meet through life, or different people who have these types of personalities and the darkness that is the human mind sometimes. And through it all, there are standout characters who are the light of the book, and I want to highlight Sonia and Dunya. I was quite enamored by Dunya and Sonia so much, and especially Dunya. I think she was kind of like a Mother Mary figure in the book. In a way, she was kind of looked upon by her neighbors as someone who is graceful, who is smart, intelligent, and who, while she didn't really come from a affluent background, she's highly educated and she's well-spoken and she knows what's right or wrong. And Sonia, on the other hand, is, I would say, kind of the opposite of that. She's more quiet in her actions. She's a bit demure, if that's one way you could say it. And she's more religious, I would say. And she helps the main character, Raskolnikov, see through his actions. This is why I think this book is quite important read. It is difficult. First it was very dry. There were moments of the book where I thought maybe I will probably DNF this, but I should give it a go. It is a tough read, difficult read, I think, but that's just me, because I'm not nowhere near an expert level of reading classics, but I'm very happy to have read this book this year. Next book is Beware of Pity by Stefan Zweig. Now, this is about a man whose empathy harms the people around him and the consequences of someone who is a people pleaser. I think this is the only way I could describe this book. And it really is a cautionary tale where sometimes we have to let people be independent, and it is kind of also a mixed bag where you want to help these people, you feel pity for them, but sometimes they don't really need help, and at times they will just abuse you. And this is how I also fell in love with Stefan Zweig's writing. His writing is so much more approachable, and because of Beware of Pity, I've read a few other shorter works, and I can now say that I'm quite a fan of Stefan Zweig. In the book, Hoffmiller is trapped by guilt and conscience, but there is kind of this feeling of there's no way out of the situation. And while he tries to be well-meaning, it just kind of digs the wound even further. And that causes him his own happiness as well. Stefan Zweig really does a great dive to like these psychological impacts that one might have when you have these types of relationships. This is also talking about the genuineness of a person helping out people sometimes. These relationships that make you think, and they're also very human at the same time. So I would recommend Stefan Zweig. He's such an amazing, amazing author. Next book I wanted to talk about is Strange Pictures by Uketsu. This one is so good. I fell in love with Uketsu. Strange Pictures is about a series of pictures, and then you have to like kind of uncover the meaning. The pictures are kind of childlike, and the more the story unravels, it's more darker within. And there are, I believe, about 4 pictures that have their own little story, but at the end it kind of just connects all the pictures together and why do they mean the way they are and the history behind it. I can't really explain much further about the book. I think it's an experience to read. It's something that I think I can't really explain a lot about the book. It's something that you have to experience for yourself, so I really recommend go picking it up. Next is the Mindf series by St. Abbey. Now, this is a series of books, but I kind of just categorize it as just one whole thing. The book has very sensitive themes, so you might want to reconsider before reading it. But yeah, the book is about a female serial killer who commits a series of crimes, but she also leads a double life. She's very mysterious, and she meets this cop who she ends up having a relationship with, and the cop is onto the serial killer, who he doesn't know that he is dating the serial killer. The way it was written is so good, and the characters are memorable here. I wasn't really so much interested with the romance, but I think it's more of like the unraveling of this cat and mouse chase of who is the serial killer and getting vengeance because of her experiences before. You can't help but be on her side. But yeah, it was just a fun read. I think this took me out of like my book slump, and each book, it's not that long. I think it's just a kind of 100 to 200 pages, because I was reading it in the ebook version, so I can't really say about the actual full book version, but it's very quick. The story goes by quite fast, and there was no dull moments. I think what's interesting is the Mindfuck series kind of also tackles issues as who really deserves punishment. How can we prove that these killings are something that was needed, or is there more to the law that could be done? And I think this kind of goes back to Crime and Punishment, now I'm saying that. But yeah, it's a really good read and great series. Next up is Julie Chan is Dead. I think I'm kind of having a theme here, but this will be the last one, and then I'll go to the next book. But Julie Chan is Dead is about Julie, who has a rich twin who suddenly dies out of mysterious circumstances, but she assumes her twin's life, and that's where the story unravels of why did the twin die, what is her twin's connections with this group of girls who go on this mysterious island, and her kind of diving deep into like influencer life and the hoo-has of, you know, being an influencer, the ups and downs, the money and everything. It's a fun read. I really enjoyed it. I think it's one of the most funniest reads I've read in 2025. So I really recommend it. Last one, but not the least, is Madonna in a Fur Coat by Sabahattin Ali. This is my favorite book of 2025, and I think probably one of the best books I've read in my life. So Madonna in a Fur Coat follows the story of Rafe, who is from Turkey, and he travels to Berlin to learn about soap making. He comes from an affluent family, so he's able to have this chance to go to Berlin and study soap making. And there in Berlin, he's kind of solitary. He's mostly solitary. He's alone, isolated, and the only joys that he has is going to like museums. But then one day he encounters a painting in a certain museum which was called Madonna in a Fur Coat. And days pass by. He spends most of his time with the painting, and he meets the actual painter and herself, the Madonna, which is Maria Puder. Ray falls in love with Maria, and there is this kind of like push and pull situation going on between the both of them, which is very interesting. I think in the introduction of the book, it kind of highlights how the gender roles of each character, Rafe, which is not the usual manly type. He's actually kind of much more softer and seems like a woman at times, whereas Maria, she kind of is trying to go outside society's expectations of being a soft feminine woman, and is kind of more like hard and masks her true feelings. And in time, Rafe tries to pursue her in his own way, and his love is loud and it breaks through Maria Puder. In time, Maria does fall in love, but because he needed to go back, their love is sort of just in a standstill. And the book really talks about, like, you know, isolation and missed opportunities, which is so poignant in the book. And there is a quote that I love so much that really resonated with me. And towards the end of the book is probably one of the most emotional things I've ever read. And I truly just fell in love with Sabahattin Ali's writing. There are independent publishers who have translated his work, and actually I do have The Devil Inside Us, or The Devil Within Us, that I got from Amazon, and it's, I think, by an independent publisher. So I'm excited to read that, but hopefully one day his works kind of get more and more translated. And I do also have a selected stories and poems that I also got from Amazon, so I'm really excited to check it out. That is my top books of 2025, and thank you for watching this video.